It is time to spend some money. Welcome back to our Manchester United Football Manager series. And this is the summer transfer window special, as we have plenty of work to do in this summer for Champions League football, of course, next season. And hopefully getting closer to the top. Can we mount a title challenge? We will see. But there's a lot of work to do in this summer transfer window. Lots of outs, lots of ins. And we'll see how this video goes, but I'll do it in stages, show you how we're progressing throughout the summer. But to start off, it's worth noting the loaned players. We've got Onana, excluding Heaven, who's a young player we're just giving experience to. So he'll be back with us. But Onana, Mazraoui, Rashford and Højlund, we will be looking to sell. Get those offloaded on a permanent deal, as we will Sancho. Sancho has now returned to the club. We have extended his contract for another year because we're hoping to get a fee for him. So those five, Onana, Mazraoui, Sancho, Rashford, Højlund, we want to be selling all of those. Luke Shaw was not interested in signing a new contract, so we'll be looking to sell him as well. And I would also include Joshua Zirkzee in that, and probably Diego Dalot as well. The rest, we'd probably retain, but we'll see how the summer goes. In terms of ins that we want to do, the wing-back positions I'm still not totally convinced by, although Dorgu and Ahmed both had good seasons, so they certainly won't be sold. Can they retain the starting position? We'll see, but we will be looking at what we can bring in probably in the wing-back areas. But this is the area pitch we really need to improve, like we do in real life. Those two in midfield. Bruno is aging as well, as is Casemiro. Could we sell Bruno? Could we sell both of those? Casemiro did renew his contract, but of course, if we could get a fee for him, we may sell him. Bruno, if we could get a high fee for him, could even be tempted to sell him, but we'll see. That's not the priority to sell Bruno, but if an offer comes in, then we'll see. But I'm not going to be searching for offers this year. We've got so much other work to do. But we'll certainly be looking to bring in, I think, 2 central midfielders, and then we'll see if we can do any improvements here. If not, just giving us some more depth. Obviously, we've got Mbeumo and Cunha playing in those wide areas. We've also got Mount. Other than that, not too much other cover. So we're probably looking for at least some cover there. And Šeško, obviously a great season this year, and he will keep the starting place up front. Zirkzee, though, as I say, we will be looking to offload him, so we probably need some cover. I will be looking to promote Chido Obi to the first team, so he will give cover, but we'll maybe look for another striker as well. So I think we're looking for around 4 to 6 new players coming in, depending on how the sales go. It might be more if we offload a few more players, but we'll start to work through this and I'll let you know how we're getting on. Okay, we are coming towards the end of July and we'll do a little bit of a recap on our transfer activity so far, but I thought I'd bring you news from the World Cup, and Brazil have won the World Cup, 2-1 victors over the Ivory Coast. And Ivory Coast, I believe, knocked out England. They did indeed. 2-2 with England in the semi-final. Ivory Coast, they win on penalties. Ivory Coast making it to a final, but losing then to Brazil. So Brazil are your World Cup winners in 2026. But moving on to transfers and starting with Rashford, who was on loan at Barcelona. They had the option to sign him for £30 million, and they have done just that. So Marcus Rashford has moved on to Barcelona then for 30 million. So that's 30 million we've generated. And Jadon Sancho has moved over to the Saudi League. And this was one that was maybe a little bit of a risk, but we extended his contract, if you remember, for another year to generate a transfer fee. And we've done just that. We've been able to get £25 million. I think the gamble certainly paid off. 25 million received for Jadon Sancho. Another notable departure, and we mentioned this one, Luke Shaw wasn't really interested in staying on. He wasn't playing much, so we weren't too bothered about him making that decision. And he has now left the club for a new challenge. He's gone over to Bournemouth for just over £20 million. So Luke Shaw will remain in the Premier League. He'll play for Bournemouth this year. And Diego Dalot has left the club. He's gone over to Napoli. Join his old pal McSauce for 46 million. So a nice bit of revenue generated there for Diego Dalot. And another player leaving the club is Manuel Ugarte, although we won't generate a fee just yet. He's gone to Real Sociedad. He's gone on loan initially for a fee of 550k, the initial loan fee, but they will have a mandatory buy of 38.5 million. So we will generate that next summer. So Ugarte has left the club as well. Toby Collier, who has left the club for Southampton, was on loan at West Brom last year. We've now sold him for 10 million to Southampton. Now, incomings, the first of those, Julian Duranville. We actually agreed this one in January because his contract was expiring. So it's a free transfer, good bit of business. He comes in as a young player, hoping to develop him. We might have said in a previous episode, even if he doesn't play much, hopefully will generate good profit off him. On to our next signing, it's Daniel Munoz then from Crystal Palace, the 30-year-old who will play at right wing back, or he'll compete for right wing back. Not necessarily going to be a starter, but he has joined the club. And this was a fee of 27 million. So a relatively low fee, but as I say, he's 30 years old. And that gives us backup in that right wing back position with Dalot moving on. So sold Dalot for 46 million. Munoz comes in for 27. So in a way, we've gained 19 million there, still having a player in that position. Next joining us is Tyler Dibbling. Everton have been relegated, so we've been sniffing around a few of their players. Another one is Jared Branthwaite, who we might yet sign, but we haven't as yet. But we have picked up Tyler Dibbling. Now we've got Cunha playing off the left, Mbeumo off the right. We've got Mount covering both of those positions, but other than that, not too much cover. So Tyler Dibbling is joining the club to bring in that cover. Only 20 years old, got room to develop. I think this is a really good signing. Was still quite costly, 50 million. We're not paying that all up front, but I'm pretty happy with that sign. That's going to bring good cover off that right-hand side. Now, a younger player brought in for a bit of development is Marco Palestra. So he's coming in from the Italian league, and it's another right wing-back. So Munoz, as we brought in, as I say, he's 30 years old, so he's only really here for the next couple, 2-3 years. In that time, we're hoping to develop Marco Palestri, and both of those will be competing with Ahmad at right wing-back. So I think we're pretty strong now, right wing-back. Plenty of depth for this upcoming Premier League and Champions League campaign. And that is where we're at so far on the 20th of July. Another one there, Christian Orozco. Probably butchering that, but he was, again, someone we actually officially signed in January, but only now joined the club. 18 years old, room to develop. He'll be playing in the under-18s or under-21, so not one for right now. But there you can see all of the ins so far. We've spent 96 million so far, and most of that has been on these three: Munoz, Tyler Dibbling, and Marco Palestra, and all really on that right-hand side. 2 right wing-backs and a right winger. So that's where we're at so far. Outs, as I said, there were some younger players in there as well, as you can see, and these are a profit that we've made on a couple of these. Some of them have gone for nothing. Collier that we mentioned as well, and Fitzgerald at the end, 1.4 million. But they are all of the outs so far. So actually, so far, we've paid out 96 million. We've received 135 million. So we've done a lot of work on the outs. There's still more work to do there. But yeah, we've got still, 6 weeks left of this transfer window. Plenty can be done. We've got 160 million in the transfer budget at the moment, and we're still looking to try and offload some players. Those players that are not in our planning for next year: Onana we're trying to sell, Højlund we're trying to sell, and Xerxes we're trying to sell. So they are the 3 that we really want to sell before this transfer window. They are generating interest, but at the moment it's loans. Trying to avoid that. Ugarte obviously has gone out on loan with obligation. Yeah, we're trying to get fees for Onana, Højlund, and Xerxes. Once we've done that, that would really complete our transfer business for going out. We still need to do some transfer business coming in. I'll show you what our plans are for that. But some bad news: Cunha and Šeško have just picked up injuries, and they're out for Šeško out 3 to 7 weeks, and 2 to 7 weeks for Cunha. The Premier League season is kicking off in about 3 weeks' time, I believe. There's our first Premier League game, Saturday 8th. Yeah, so pretty much 3 weeks' time. So Cunha's not too much of a big issue because we've got cover on that side. We can play Mount over there. We can play Mbeumo over there because we've got Tyler Dibbling who can now play off the right. So that's not too much of an issue. Šeško is. He's our main man for scoring goals up there. We've got Xerxes still at the club, obviously, but he's not too great. And we've still got Rasmus, who's returned but looking to sell. And we have also promoted Chido Obi. So he's in as well. But that does mean it's sort of the striker position. I was maybe thinking about running with Šeško this season with Obi just as cover. But I think now that injury has triggered me thinking, yeah, that's not going to be too much cover. So we are trying to do something there. So as I mentioned, we are looking for some cover up top. And a man I'm turning to is Evan Ferguson. A couple of years ago, highly touted was Evan Ferguson. Kind of dropped off a bit. Left Brighton, went on loan to Roma, I believe it is. In-game back at Brighton. And we're going to take a gamble on him. We've made an offer to Brighton, and that's who we're looking to bring in. So Evan Ferguson to play cover to Šeško, if we can pull this off. And then Chido Obi will be our third striker looking to sell Joshua Xerxes. Also see there Hugo Larsson, a midfielder. We really want to get in 1 or 2 central midfielders. We're having problems trying to do that at the moment, but we'll see how we go with Hugo Larsson. While we were having problems, or while I mentioned we were having problems, is one of the men we went after was Angelo Stiller, who's been linked to Manchester United in real life. We did go in, had an offer accepted, but because Saudi were interested in him, he wanted £950,000 a week when we got to contract negotiations, which we clearly aren't going to do. So he has moved to Saudi, and he's now on somewhere between 600 and 800k a week. So good luck to him. But yeah, we need to try and get a couple of central midfielders if we can. As you've also seen, we've done quite a bit of work at right wing back, and I want to try and get another one in at left wing back because we've only really got Dorgu over there. And earlier in the summer, we did approach this man, Lewis Hall of Newcastle, and we had the offer accepted again from Newcastle, but he didn't want to enter contract negotiations. He was with England at the World Cup, and he wanted to wait until after the World Cup. So that has now ended. So we will go back in for Lewis Hall as well and see if he's now in a position to enter those contract negotiations. But if we just have a look at the squad planner then, this is what we're looking at for this season. So goalkeepers, we were thinking whether we change Lomens and go after another goalkeeper, but he's been okay for us this year. So I think we stick with that. It's not a priority this year. That right-sided central defender, we've got Lenny Yoro there who's starting. And I think this year we're going to bring Aidan Heaven into the fold. So Aidan Heaven was on loan last year. He'll be back up to Yoro on that right-hand side. And obviously we have got De Ligt, Gay can play there as well. We've also got Martinez who can go over there if needed. The number one in that spot is going to be Yoro with Aidan Heaven playing backup. Then the central defender spot is De Ligt. Again, Gay, he's going to play on the left side, can cover over there, as can Yoro and Heaven. Left side, as I mentioned there, Gay, he's going to be the starting choice there. Lissandro Martinez will be back up over there. And again, we've got De Ligt, Yoro, Heaven, all of those can cover that position. So goalkeeper and defence, I'm pretty happy. I don't think we need to make any signings there this year. Right wing back, as you've seen, we've done a lot of work there. Ahmad is still going to be the starter, but we've got our 2 new players in there as well. And Josh Nichols, who was a young player we brought in January, is also hanging on the fringes as well. So we're pretty well covered now on right wing back. But as I mentioned, left wing back, not so much, because we've got Patrick Dorgu, who's the starting choice there. Josh Nichols, as I say, very young. He can play over there. Harry Amas, very young, can play over there. And Duranville, who we've just signed, is more, I would say, of a left winger than a left wing back. So we really need to get a second left wing back in, I would suggest, because we don't really want to use Josh Nichols, Harry Amas too much, especially in bigger games. We've got Champions League, FA Cup, League Cup and Premier League this season. So left wing back is a position we need to look at. And we're going to look at Lewis Hall there again there. And central midfield, we've only really got these 3 players, which is Casemiro, Mainoo and Bruno Fernandes. And that's the same for both sides. Obviously, Bruno, we haven't really set this up because we'd probably drop Bruno from this. But as I say, because we've not got much cover, we'll keep all 3 there for now. But that looks more like it. Casemiro, the first choice in that defensive midfield spot. Then we've got Kobbie Mainoo and Bruno Fernandes, and then the same for the box-to-box playmaker, where we would then bring Bruno Fernandes up there. So, yeah, there's not much cover at all, really, in central midfield. So that's an area that we must sign at, I'd say, probably at least 2 good players and maybe a couple of young players as well. So that's an area we've got to look at. Right wing, we're pretty well stacked there now. We've got Mbumo. We've also brought in Tyler Dibbling, as you've seen. Ahmad, who plays right wing back, can play there as well. Mason Mount can cover, and Cunha, predominantly playing from the left, but can cover there as well. So right side of that attack, absolutely fine. Left side, the same really, because we've got Cunha, Mount, who predominantly covers that left side when we need him. Duranville's come in, who can cover as well. And as I say, Mbumo can move over there as well. So right and left, pretty good. And striker at the moment, this is why I want to get another one in and possibly Evan Ferguson, because we've got Šeško, who's now injured, so we really do need that cover. And trying to sell Xerxes, so that's why you don't see him here. But second fiddle to him at the moment would be Chido Obi, and then Mbumo and Cunha can play there, but not ideal. So if we can get Evan Ferguson, we'd then have Šeško, Ferguson or Obi, or if not Ferguson, another striker. So I think what we're looking at for the rest of this window is a striker, a left wing back, and 2 central midfielders minimum. So another 4 transfers we'll be looking to do if we can. Something I forgot to mention actually on the outs, which has given us a little bit of money as well, is that Antony has also moved to Saudi from Real Betis. And what that means is we've actually received 50% of the profit of that sale. So there was a 50% sell-on clause that we had. So it actually means we've received 16.5 million. So that's been a good little transfer boost for us as well. But we will forward on to, I guess, nearly the start of the season and see if we can get some more transfers done. Okay, we've arrived for the first day of the Premier League season as we kick off the season at home to Tottenham, but we won't be showcasing that on this episode. Today is all about the transfer window and wrapping that up. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to sell any further players. We have signed a couple more, but because we haven't sold any, it's sort of stalled our transfer window business until we can get a few more player sales in. But before we jump forward in time, we were looking at Evan Ferguson and we have signed him. So Evan Ferguson has joined us and yeah, he's going to provide cover for Šeško, but with the amount of games we've got this season, he will likely get quite a bit of game time and quite good stats on him, still only 21 years old. So I'm pretty happy with that. Just unhappy with the player sales because we've still got Xerxes and Højlund kicking about and we really need to sell those before the window shuts. And the second one to join us is Hugo Larsson, a central midfielder or defensive midfielder. That's where we needed cover. And he's likely actually to come in and start ahead of Casemiro. And Mainoo getting quite a lot of time off the bench, but he will be starting probably ahead of Casemiro. Casemiro's probably dropped down to fourth choice for now. He's got the experience, so it gives us cover. But Mainoo obviously want to continue to develop. He will get lots of substitute appearances. But when we need to, Mainoo will start. So at the moment, that's giving us a little bit of cover. I'd like to get one more midfielder. I'd really like to get Adam Wharton, I think. He looks really good on the game. We were looking at a couple of others, but they've slipped away. Wharton is still available. Baleba, who's another one linked in real life to Man United. Not too keen on him in-game, but Adam Wharton looks very good. But it would be a very costly deal to do. So I don't think we'll be able to do it this summer unless we get some player sales in. So we're now down to 41 million in the transfer budget, but we do need to move some of that over to the wage budget because we've only got 30,000 there. So we could probably do that now. Yeah, that's more realistic to sign a bigger player. We need at least 100k in there. So yeah, 30 million really in the bank at the moment. That's not enough to do what we want to do. One of those, again, that we mentioned was Lewis Hall. We did enter contract negotiations, but they were asking for a little bit too much. So they're broken down. But again, the transfer for that is over 30 million now. So we can't actually go back in unless we sell. So I would like to try and get Lewis Hall and one other central midfielder. And that would end our transfer business. But as I say, we're limited on what we can do now until we get player sales. And those player sales really need to be Onana, who we're trying to sell. We just can't get him out of the door. And then also, as I've mentioned, Højlund and Xerxes. And the only other one we're trying to sell as well is Mazraoui. So they're the four players we'd like to get out. There's just no interest in them at the moment. We could get them out the door on loans. That's what I'm trying to avoid. But it might be when we get to the last day of the transfer window, if we haven't sold them, they might have to go out on loan again. Not ideal because we could probably raise, I think, around about 120 million from player sales. Whether that all goes into the budget, it probably wouldn't. But we could, in terms of actual sales, we could probably raise about 120 million plus if we could sell all four of them. But it's looking unlikely at the moment. So that has wrapped up our transfer business so far anyway in this summer window. Of course, we still have, 3 weeks to go, so there'll be some more transfers. But in terms of this transfer window special episode, it's going to wrap it up. And that's what we've done. So 7 players in. 3 of those, I would say, are younger players, unlikely to be around the first team, although Duranville might. But Palestra and Christian Orozco, Orozco definitely won't get any game time. Palestra might, and Duranville might. But yeah, out of the 7, it's really 4 main signings, which is Daniel Munoz, Tyler Dibbling, Evan Ferguson and Hugo Larsson have come in. And then the sales have been Dalot out on a permanent deal. Ugarte is a permanent deal, but we don't get the fee until next summer. It's a loan with mandatory fee to buy. Toby Collier, 10 million sale. A couple of young players there as well as some loans going out as well. And then also we had Luke Shaw sold for 20.5 million, Jadon Sancho for 25 million, Rashford moving to Barcelona for a permanent deal now after his loan for 30 million. So transfers out, 137 million so far. Transfers in, 228 million. So it's a net spend of about 90 million, which isn't too much really, is it? So a net spend of 90 million in this window. So I think that's still keeping realistic. As I say, try to keep realistic with the players we're buying as well, which I think we've done. Yeah, now it's just down whether we can sell a couple more. Ideally, those 4 players, if we can get at least a couple of those out, it will help. It will allow us to buy at least 1 more player. If we can sell all 4, we can get 2. I think, yeah, one or 2 sales, we could get 1 more definitely. And then we're looking at 3 or 4 to get 2 more players in. So really, the rest of our transfer business comes down to those player sales, and it might go all the way to the end of the window. But that is the window wrapped up. And the very next episode, we will start our Premier League campaign then against Tottenham. And we'll probably do a double header. It's Spurs up first and Fulham away. So hopefully we can make a good start to this Premier League campaign. Our first big game, I guess we've got Newcastle, but more so Liverpool. And then we've got a tasty double header here, away to Arsenal, at home to Chelsea. So already looking at where the episodes might fall, but we'll see how we go. But I hope you've enjoyed that transfer special. If you have and you're not already, do subscribe to the channel, smash a like on the video, and be sure to tune in for the next episode as we start our Premier League campaign at home to Spurs.